Last spring, a guy brought me his 2018 3 Series with around 80,000 miles on it. The car looked great, but his engine was burning oil and his turbo was on its way out. The repair came to over $6,500. The worst part, completely preventable. He followed the dealer's maintenance schedule to the letter, and that is exactly what destroyed his car. Because BMW's maintenance schedule is not designed to protect your engine. It is designed to get you past the warranty. My name is Mike. I have been working on BMWs for over 20 years, and I see this same failure every single month. So today I'm giving you the real schedule. What is actually due, when it is actually due, and what breaks if you skip it. Follow this, and there is no reason your BMW will not run past 200,000 miles without a major repair. Every 5,000 miles, BMW's condition-based service system will tell most owners they can go 10,000 to 15,000 miles between oil changes. On paper, that sounds great, but here is what actually happens when you follow that advice. Modern BMW turbo engines run hot, and they are brutal on oil. By the time you hit 10,000 miles on a single fill, that oil has lost most of its protective properties. It leaves carbon deposits on the piston rings, the rings stop sealing, and the engine starts burning oil. That is where the infamous BMW oil consumption problem comes from. One customer brought in a 2017 X3 at just 62,000 miles. He followed the CBS system exactly, changing oil every 12,000 to 14,000 miles like it told him to. By the time he came to me, the engine was going through a quart every 1,000 miles, and the turbo wastegate was sticking. If he had just done 5,000-mile intervals from the start, that engine would be running fine today. Now compare that with another customer who brought in a 2016 X5 with the same generation engine at over 120,000 miles. This owner changed the oil every 5,000 miles from day one, used quality filters, and never skipped an interval. We checked the compression and it was still within factory spec. No oil consumption, no lifter noise, no turbo issues. Same era of engine, double the mileage, completely different outcome. The only difference was the oil change interval. The exact oil spec depends on your engine, and I have listed the full details on screen. But the interval is what matters most. 5,000 miles, full synthetic, quality filter. MAN, Mala, or genuine BMW. A good filter costs $8 to $12. Do not cut corners on it. While you are under the car, rotate your tires. Every 5,000 to 7,000 miles keeps the wear even. BMW tires are expensive, so getting the most out of every set matters. Also, do a quick visual check of your brake pads, look for fluid leaks, and inspect your tire sidewalls for cracking. Every 15,000 miles. At 15,000 miles, you are adding a few things to the routine. First, a proper brake inspection. Pull the wheels off and measure pad thickness. BMW factory pads typically last 30,000 to 50,000 miles, depending on how you drive. But catching them early is what saves you money. A pad-only job runs $200 to $350 per axle. Wait too long, and the rotors get chewed up, and now you are looking at $500 to $900. BMW rotors wear faster than most brands, so do not assume they will last forever just because the pads still have life. This is also when to replace the engine air filter. BMW says 30,000 to 50,000 miles, but if you drive in traffic, near construction, or on dusty roads, that filter is restricted well before then. A clogged air filter makes the turbo work harder to pull air in, and over time, that shortens the life of the turbo itself. The filter costs $15 to $25 and takes 2 minutes to swap. That is cheap insurance on a part that costs thousands to replace. Replace the cabin microfilter at this interval as well. A clogged cabin filter reduces airflow through your vents, makes the blower motor work harder, and turns the interior musty. The part is around $20 to $30, and it is a simple glove box job on most models. Check battery health here too, especially if the car is 3 years old or more. BMW electrical systems are sensitive to low voltage. A weak battery will not just leave you stranded, it will trigger false fault codes, cause phantom warning lights, and make systems like iDrive behave erratically. BMW batteries typically last 4 to 5 years. A quick diagnostic test can save you hours of chasing electrical problems that were never really there. Quick thing before we move on. If this is helping you out, hit the like button and subscribe. I put out videos every week helping BMW owners save money and avoid expensive repairs. Every 30,000 miles. This is where things start getting more serious and where skipped maintenance starts turning into real money. At 30,000 miles, it is time to inspect the spark plugs. BMW says they last 60,000 miles, but turbocharged engines are harder on plugs than naturally aspirated ones. The higher cylinder pressures wear them down faster. A set of quality iridium plugs costs $40 to $80 depending on the engine. Ignore them and you get misfires. Sustained misfires destroy catalytic converters, and a catalytic converter on a BMW runs $1,500 to $3,000. That is not a trade-off worth making. Differential fluid should be changed at this interval if you drive aggressively, track the car, or have an M model with an electronic limited slip differential. BMW says the fluid is lifetime. Once again, that means lifetime of the warranty, not lifetime of the car. Under normal driving, you can wait until 60,000 miles. Under hard use, 30,000 is the safer target. The fluid change costs around $100 to $150 at an independent shop. A differential rebuild costs $1,500 to $2,500. This is also when to start paying closer attention to suspension components. Control arm bushings, especially the front lower thrust arms on 3 Series and 4 Series models, are a known wear item. You will notice a clunking sound over bumps or vague steering feel. The bushings themselves are cheap to replace, but if you ignore them, they will chew through a set of tires in a few months. A set of BMW tires runs $800 to $1,200. A pair of thrust arm bushings costs around $150. Get a proper alignment check at this interval too. 50,000 to 60,000 miles. This is the big one. The service that BMW will never tell you about. Transmission fluid. BMW labels the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission as a lifetime fill. That means the fluid supposedly never needs changing. But ZF, the company that actually designs and builds the transmission, recommends a fluid change every 50,000 to 80,000 miles. BMW says lifetime because it keeps their cost of ownership numbers looking competitive on paper. What actually happens is the fluid breaks down, shifts get rougher, and by 100,000 miles, owners are staring at a $4,000 to $7,000 transmission rebuild. This pattern repeats constantly. A well-maintained BMW comes in with a beautifully clean engine, fresh oil, clean filters, but the transmission is slipping or shifting harshly because nobody ever touched the fluid. The pan comes off and the fluid is dark brown or black, full of clutch material. The internal filter is saturated. At that point, it is often too late for a simple service to fix the problem. Compare that with cars where the owners service the transmission every 50,000 miles. The fluid comes out looking pinkish red. The filter is clean, and the transmission shifts like it did at 10,000 miles. Same car, same transmission, completely different outcome. The difference is a service that costs $300 to $500 at an independent shop. Important note, if your BMW has high mileage and the transmission fluid has never been changed, do not do a full flush. A standard drain and fill is safer. Flushing can dislodge debris that has settled over time and push it into the valve body. That causes more problems than it solves. At this interval, brake fluid should be flushed. BMW actually recommends this every 2 years, and it is one of the few factory recommendations worth following exactly. Brake fluid absorbs moisture over time, and that moisture lowers the boiling point. Under hard braking or on long descents, contaminated fluid can boil. When it does, the pedal goes soft and you lose stopping power. A flush costs $100 to $150. Skipping it is not worth the risk. Coolant should be inspected here as well. BMW uses a long-life coolant, but the cooling system itself is the weak link. Expansion tanks crack. Electric water pumps fail. Thermostat housings develop leaks. If the coolant level keeps dropping and there is no puddle under the car, something is failing internally. A water pump replacement runs $400 to $700 at an independent shop. An expansion tank is around $300. But if the cooling system fails completely and the engine overheats, you are looking at a warped head or a blown head gasket, and that is a $3,000 to $6,000 repair on most BMW engines. 75,000 miles. At 75,000 miles, this is the interval where components start failing rather than just wearing. The serpentine belt and tensioner are the priority here. That single belt drives your alternator, power steering, and water pump. When it snaps, you lose all three at once. If you catch it and pull over immediately, you are looking at a belt replacement and a tow bill. If you do not notice and keep driving, the engine overheats within minutes and you are into head gasket territory. A belt and tensioner costs around $150 to replace. The damage from ignoring it can run $3,000 or more. Shocks and struts should be inspected at this mileage. Factory shocks typically last 75,000 to 100,000 miles, and most owners do not realize they are worn until the car feels completely different from how it used to drive. Excessive body roll in corners, a floaty feeling at highway speeds, and the rear end squatting under loads it used to handle fine. Worn shocks do not just hurt ride quality. They increase braking distances and accelerate wear on tires, bushings, and ball joints. A full set of quality replacements runs $600 to $1,200 installed. Letting them go and dealing with the knock-on damage to other components costs a lot more. If you have not replaced your coolant yet, this is the deadline. Do not push it any further. And if everything looks fine under the hood, take a hard look underneath the car. Check all the rubber hoses, the boots on your CV axles, and any wiring that is exposed to heat. At this mileage, rubber and plastic components are reaching the end of their life, and a $20 hose that splits on the highway can leave you stranded or worse. 100,000 miles. If you have followed everything above, 100,000 miles on a BMW is not a milestone to worry about. It is simply the next service interval. At this mileage, engine and transmission mounts are a priority. These are rubber components that absorb vibration, and by 100,000 miles they have hardened and cracked. You will feel it as excessive vibration through the cabin at idle, a noticeable clunk when shifting from park to drive, or the engine rocking visibly under acceleration. Worn mounts put stress on everything connected to the drivetrain. A full set of mounts runs $300 to $600 in parts at an independent shop. Ignore them and you start damaging things around them. This is also the interval for a complete fluid refresh if anything has been missed. Transmission fluid, differential fluid, brake fluid, coolant. If all of those have been serviced on schedule, you are in great shape. If any have been skipped, this is the last chance to address them before the damage becomes permanent. Take a hard look at every suspension bushing and ball joint. At 100,000 miles, rubber bushings are tired across the board. If the car feels loose, vague, or rattles over bumps in ways it did not used to, the bushings are telling you something. A comprehensive inspection at this mileage is the best money you can spend because this is exactly where deferred maintenance catches up with people. Owners who skipped the transmission service at 60,000 are now looking at rebuilds. Owners who ignored the cooling system are dealing with overheating. Owners who pushed oil changes to 10,000 or 15,000 miles are burning oil and losing compression. But owners who kept up with this schedule are still driving cars that run the way they did at 30,000 miles. That is the difference. So here is the simple version. Every 5,000 miles, change your oil and rotate your tires. At 15,000 miles, inspect your brakes and replace your air filters. At 30,000 miles, inspect spark plugs and check your differential fluid. Between 50,000 and 60,000 miles, service the transmission regardless of what the lifetime label says. Flush the brake fluid and inspect the cooling system. At 75,000 miles, replace the serpentine belt and inspect your shocks. At 100,000 miles, replace your engine mounts and do a full inspection of everything. If you drive hard, track the car, or operate in extreme temperatures, lean toward the shorter intervals on everything. BMWs that reach 200,000 miles without major problems are not lucky. They are maintained by owners who know what is actually due instead of trusting dealer marketing. I have seen it hundreds of times across my career. The schedule I just gave you is the difference between a BMW that falls apart at 100,000 miles and one that is still running strong at 200,000. One more thing, keep every receipt, every oil change, every filter, every service. A BMW with a complete service history sells for significantly more than one where the buyer has to guess what was done. It takes 2 minutes to photograph a receipt and save it to a folder on your phone. If this helped you out, hit subscribe. I cover BMW maintenance and common problems every week. And if you want to see the issues affecting the latest generation of BMWs, that video is coming up next.